Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lisa, and this is Undermined Propaganda. It is June 5th, Friday afternoon, 2026. First, shout out to everybody that has been liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing my videos. It is greatly appreciated. And on that note, I want to go ahead and thank the subscribers who PT0311, David Cordero, Susan Chapman, Hank Roos, and Eileen Anithnid. There are many other subscribers that I also want to thank. I just don't have the names, but I want to send out appreciation to all of you and your engagement. Thank you so much. Today, what I want to do is cover a short part of a clip of a debate that Mehdi Hasan had on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet-David this week. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the PBD podcast or Patrick Bet-David. He is just an OG grifter. This guy is a mouthpiece for the capitalist oligarchs, the elites, the Zionists. That's what he does. He made his money with a pyramid scheme. He acts like he's this genuine, authentic, hardworking businessman that made all his money the honest way with integrity, which is quite the opposite. He made it on a pyramid scheme. You can look into that, read into that. It goes deep. And he continues to grift because, like I said, he's a mouthpiece for the elites. He's a mouthpiece for the Zionists. He is just an arrogant man. And here's an example of some of the grifting that he continues to do. So let me show you this if you have not seen it. Not only does he have the podcast that he grifts on and his original pyramid scheme that he made all his money on, he has something called Minect, and it is a company that he runs where he consults people. Him and the people that work for him consult people. They consult people on advisory, entrepreneurship, family, finance, insurance, marketing, parenting, politics, business, coaching, and acts like he's an expert in all these things. And he charges you a mere $110 per text. Now, I don't know about you, but to send a text, how long does it really take you? Less than 60 seconds? That's pretty good money. If you're looking at $100 for 60 seconds, that's a lot of money. If it's a video answer, $300. And each person makes a different amount depending on who they are. He obviously makes the most because he is the head of all of this. For a video call, book a time for us to have a one-on-one call for the most personalized advice for a mere $800 a minute. A minute times 60 for an hour. If it was a 1 hour video call, it would be, $48,000. And there's a 15-minute minimum on top of that. So a $12,000 limit for $12,000 minimum. I don't know. This is just hysterically funny to me because it's just this is the epitome of grifting. All right. So that being said, to kind of outline a little bit of the character and integrity of this man that Mehdi is debating here. Mehdi, I don't agree with him on everything. However, he is excellent on the topic of Zionism, the topic of Israel and the genocide that they've committed and continue to commit in Gaza, on what they're doing in Lebanon, on the corruption. He is excellent on this, and he is a fantastic debater. So let's go ahead and take a look at just how he wipes the floor, basically, for lack of a better way of putting it, with Patrick Bet-David in this debate here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And shout out to the Muslim mom for posting this.
Do you think the West...
Let's go ahead and start from the beginning.
West, Muslims can coexist?
Okay. Let's start from the beginning. Let's speed him up because Patrick Bet-David is a slow talker on top of his grift here. All right, here we go.
Do you think the West, when it comes down to West, Muslims can coexist with the West?
Like
I'm curious.
I'm Muslim.
Do you think they can coexist?
Do you think I can coexist with
I think you can coexist.
Why me?
Educated, you're a worker, you're now a capitalist.
All right, stop right there. he starts right off right there, one, implying that Muslim people cannot coexist in the West, and two, insinuating that Muslim people are uneducated, which is just, to me, is laughable. All you have to do is think about the people in our administration, the buffoons, the uneducated, unqualified buffoons in all our positions of power in America. The fact that less than nearly half of America cannot read at a 6th grade reading level. And he goes in and starts insinuating that Muslims are uneducated. It's just, here we go with the slander, with the falsities, with these narratives to try to create hatred and create divide between people in America and between Muslims and other people in America, which I'm going to tell you right now, that is one of the huge underlying plots of Zionism, is to create animosity towards Muslims in general as a whole. It's part of their project in trying to destroy every country in the Middle East that isn't them, that people that don't drop down to their knees and worship at the altar of Zionism. One of the plots and the ways that they do this is by demonizing Muslims, demonizing the Palestinians, demonizing the Iranians, demonizing the Lebanese people, and then demonizing Muslims as a whole. That's part of this whole entire project and the way they're doing this. And he starts right off with one of those talking points here, trying to demonize them.
You're contributing, you're creating jobs. I would say you're net positive.
Do you not think most Muslims do that?
I don't think, depending on where they're coming from, they don't. Because if their countries did a good job, why would they leave it?
War? You know the big controversy in the UK over the boats, the small boats coming across the channel? Do you know what the top 3 nationalities are in those boats?
Tell me.
Iran number 1.
Okay.
Afghanistan number 2. Iraq number 3.
Gulf states, how they perform per capita versus some of the other Muslim nations. Look at this one here.
Because they got oil and gas.
Do you think it's only oil and gas that's causing them? You don't think?
Did you know what these countries were like in
Let me
the
ask you a question.
60s, 70s?
Iran has plenty of oil.
Yeah.
How come they're not in here?
Why do you think Iran's not doing well economically? Should I go through the list?
You're going to say sanctions. You're going to say
Of course I'm going to say
America.
sanctions. If there's an 8-year war that Iraq started and we supported, that cost $600 billion to Iran, that took out 1 million members of their population, and then was followed by crazy sanctions, are you telling me then that it's fair to compare that economy with Abu Dhabi?
So you just defended Iraq, right? That we backed up.
And that's another thing that these people do. They say, well, look at their economies. They are a failed nation. And then they fail to bring up the fact that we have sanctioned the hell out of them for decades. We overthrow their governments. We do everything in our power to destroy them. I mean, look at Cuba. Iran's been sanctioned for decades because we were mad that they put somebody in that didn't align with our elite and corporations and what they wanted to do with that country. But you'll hear this talking point like he's doing right here when it comes to Iran and other countries in the Middle East. And you'll also hear them when you talk about socialist countries. You'll hear it when they talk about Venezuela and Cuba. Failed nations. Look at these horrible leaders. Oh, my God. They fail to mention that we have caused the destruction of those nations, which is very interesting when you think about it. Cuba, for example, that we have sanctioned the hell out of for years and years, trying to destroy them. And their health outcomes are better than ours, even after all these sanctions, even after all that we've done to try to destroy them. So this, again, is what a talking point is complete bullshit. If you look at any of the history and any of the facts and understand that what he's saying here is pure garbage. And Mehdi does a great job dismantling all of this.
Iraq.
Yes.
That went against Iran.
Yeah.
How come they're not on the top GDP per capita on this list?
Do you know what happened to Iraq after the Iran-Iraq
Oh,
war?
so now you have another reason. It's America's fault again.
Do you study history, Patrick? Do you know what happened in 1991?
On one end, you're saying this. On the other end, no, it's because
You're
of this.
comparing countries. You're showing me a graph comparing countries that have never been bombed, invaded, and occupied with countries that have been bombed, invaded, occupied, and then you say, why is the GDP per capita higher in one, not the other? That's an insane comparison. The 3 biggest refugee groups on the boats going into England are Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Coincidence? No, those are war-torn countries.
When it comes to the Muslims, 2020 vote to 2024.
I love you. You did whatever you did. Okay, but Muslim. Why are you obsessed with Muslims?
You're like
Because you left Iran?
You're raising your voice. Why are you screaming? I'm sitting right across from you, bro. Like, let's act American, not Middle
You
East.
shouted earlier. You're an immigrant from Iran who came in as a refugee. Donald Trump would not have little Patrick Bet David into this country. How do you feel about that?
You're so funny.
A genuine question.
You are so funny.
It's a genuine question.
He wouldn't have let little Patrick.
No Iranians were allowed in this year.
Why did Muslims become Republicans?
Gaza.
Gaza.
There are other issues too. The bathroom transgender issue in places like Michigan, a lot of conservative Arab Muslims didn't like that. That was happening even before Gaza. No doubt about that. But it was still a kind of fringe issue. The Gaza genocide. You have to understand, I spoke to a lot of these people. I traveled through all these communities in 2024.
Yep.
And I tried to point out, yes, Biden and Harris are complicit in the genocide. No one's defending the Democrats. I was very critical of the Democrats and what they did between 2023 and 2024. But Trump will be worse or as bad. He's not going to be better. And people bought the Trump shtick. No, he's anti-war. He didn't start any new wars. He's not interested in the Middle East. He's friends with MBS. He's friends with Erdogan. It's going to be great. I met Palestinians who told me Trump will be better on Gaza. He's transactional president. They bought that shit. Look at him now. Look how many Arab countries have been bombed. They said legitimately to me, but we have to punish the Democrats. That was the line. We have to punish the Democrats. They can't be seen to get away with a genocide.
Out of curiosity, you have two people to choose as a candidate. One is a hardcore Republican, capitalist, pro-Trump guy who's a Muslim. Second one is a hardcore socialist, progressive, liberal who is a Christian. Which do you vote for?
Obviously, I vote for the person whose values and policies. That's why I don't vote based on religion. Muslims are not monolith. I don't agree with all Muslims. You just mentioned some of them who vote for Trump.
Do you think long term America will be at a point where we'll have a Muslim governor or a Muslim president?
Yes, Muslim governor, I think, hopefully very soon.
Yeah.
Inshallah. President, I don't think for a while. Look, let's first get a woman president. This country's so behind the rest of the world. Pakistan's had a woman leader. Bangladesh has had a woman leader. Most European countries have had a woman leader. America still needs to do that basic thing. By the way, the big reason the Republican...
How come they're not on the top
Whoops.
GDP per capita?
Sorry about that. He makes a good point there that all these other countries have had female leaders. And we sit here, you'll hear another talking point of how Iranian women have no rights. They have no rights. We have to save them. We have to go save them. I mean, we did this in Afghanistan too. The women don't have any rights. We have to go save them. And then you look at our country, and we've never had a female president. And not only have we never had a female president, I mean, over the last, this administration has eroded women's rights to a point back to 1950. But again, it's just a hypocrisy, accusing these nations of being backwards, accusing these nations of not allowing the rights to certain segments of their society when it's us that's doing that. And we do it at a much larger scale. And we're supposed to be the advanced democracy. So good point there by Mehdi. I got to figure out where we're at here.
No doubt about that. But it was still a kind of vote for the person whose values and policies. That's why I don't vote based on religion. You want to raise a Michigan? That's racist, Patrick. When I grew up, you tell someone to go back to where they came from, you thought a fight.
Listen, we're both
from the garbage.
We're both
racist.
What do you say to some conservatives that are worried about Sharia law making it into America?
I would say, please do not worry. You're being lied to. You're being gaslit. You're being distracted. This is a fake moral panic that's been blown up.
Because it'll never happen, or because Sharia law is not that bad?
Because it's not two different things. Number one, Sharia law is not what you think it is. It's not happening. There's nobody I know who's pushing Sharia law in this country. It's completely fake, and it's being pushed in ridiculous places, not just Texas, Oklahoma, Indiana. Did you see the lieutenant governor of Indiana said recently, we need to hate Islam. It's a demonic religion, right? And I'm going to fight radical Islam. Sure. Do you know what the population of Muslim population of Indiana is? Less than 1%. Like, this is ridiculous fear-mongering.
It has 3x the U.S., I think, in the last 26 years, if I'm not mistaken.
But
Muslim population.
But it's still
not Indiana.
But it's even nationwide. What is it? 1 to 2%.
I want to say 4.5 million.
Which is
yeah, you're right. It's 1 to 2%. But by the way, you're 3x in 26 years. It's not like you're not doing a good job. You're growing.
Please let's not talk in this demonizing way about Muslim communities being a threat to you, because it has real-world consequences. We just saw in San Diego, a mosque was attacked by 2 teenagers who shot and killed 3 people, including the security guard, who had 8 kids. Police say he was a hero, saved 100 kids in that mosque, in the school, right? Murdered by 2 guys. Do you read their manifesto? The line about Muslims is really scary, because they say, we don't hate Muslims, we hate Islam. We hate the invasion of our country. That is rhetoric that you hear in right-wing media. That is rhetoric that you hear in the House of Representatives. That is what you hear from Randy Fine. That is what you hear from Republicans. That is what you hear in America. So that is not just some Nazi shooter. That is mainstream rhetoric that has been mainstreamed on the right. And it's very...
And he's right. And the thing of it is that it is mainstreamed, and it is, no one calls them out for it. Rashida Tlaib was censured for calling for a free Palestine. She was censured, calling from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. She was calling for the end of a genocide, and they censured her. Randy Fine says, kill all Muslims, and no one does anything. I mean, no one. These people say whatever when it comes to saying things anti-Muslim, it is completely accepted in our higher offices in the United States. And it is extraordinarily dangerous. And there is a double standard across the board. You cannot say anything about the country of Israel, but you can say kill all Muslims and nothing happens to you. In fact, as an example, let's take a look at really quick just this article here today. It was just reported out in Chicago. A professor at the Art Institute, the School of Art Institute, was suspended after the assignment she gave mentions Palestinians. It was a case study for a social work, a clinician type situation for the students to assess. And when you do that, you give all the details about the case study, so you're able to advocate for and support your client in the best manner. And this example was of a Palestinian that you were going to be working with. and she puts in there that this person is Palestinian. It was only one small fact about the entire case study. Anyway, short story long, this professor, after an Israeli Zionist in her class complained about feeling discriminated against, this professor was suspended. So when you talk about the differences in what you're allowed to talk about and what you're allowed to say, it is absolutely unbelievable, the hypocrisy and the double standard over and over and over and over again. So let's go ahead and finish listening to Mehdi state facts here.
There's real world consequences. I've seen some of your shows, you've talked about Muslims praying in Times Square, that being some kind of threat. I would say just have a sense of what the real world consequences of our rhetoric can be. Words have consequences. Crazy people out there can pick up weapons and think Muslims are coming to take over my country. For example, you did a show recently, or not recently, I looked it up because I knew we were going to talk about Islam here. You have a show on YouTube called Islam's Hidden Threat to the West. You have another headline, Will Muslims Run America in 30 Years? But you have to understand, if people get this in their feed and their social media all the time, are you telling me that people are not going to start, if they hear Micah Beckwith of Indiana say Islam is a demonic religion, and then they hear guests on your show saying Islam's a threat to the West, and they hear Randy Fine saying Sharia law is taking over America, you don't think two Nazi teenagers with guns are going to go, I'm going to go deal with this mosque down my street? You're telling me there's no link between that?
Yeah.
Come on, I'm talking about incitement. When you say Muslims are going to run America in 30 years, of course not. We're tiny, we're 1% of the population. When you say Islam is a threat to the West, oh, come on, 1% of the population.
2050, you guys are going to be the biggest population in the world. You guys make 2.9.
Not in America, not in America. But look at the rhetoric that Nazis used about Jews in 1920s, 30s. These people are aliens, they are parasites, they're leeching off our state. The rhetoric is, no, it's very similar. So this is a
very
myth that
similar.
Muslims don't love America, and their families are worried for their safety right now. Every Muslim in America, I know, trust me on this, I spend a lot of time with Muslims. Every Muslim I know is worried about what they're going to do. Have plan B. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go live? If it becomes intolerable.
Go ahead and leave America. How come they don't?
Because they love America.
That's the point. What if they feel the safest?
No, but it's changing,
Yeah,
right?
but-
Especially when a mosque is attacked by two Nazis.
Yeah.
Republicans can't even bring themselves to condemn it. Do you know that Ted Cruz wouldn't even condemn it? But on your show too, Patrick, come on, you did a whole thing, I watched it, of you obsessing over this Times Square prayer. Like this is some act of domination. Why are Muslims not allowed to pray in Times Square? Why are Jews allowed to do Hanukkah? Why is Jews allowed to do Hanukkah? Hindus do Diwali.
You know what my argument is?
Catholics do
You know what my
Easter.
argument is against that? If Muslims do a better job expanding, they deserve everything they get.
But it's not expanding. It's
No,
not
but it is
Times
though.
Square.
No, it is
It's changing the
though.
subject.
It is though. If Muslims, I'm a capitalist to the core. Meaning, if you beat me, guess what I do? You got to tip your hat. I don't know if you follow
What if people
basketball
aren't
or not.
trying to be? What if they just want to pray in
No,
Ramadan?
they're visual. You want to go watch how many of the videos like long term we're going to come to America? Sure.
Have you seen the Christian prayers at the National Mall? They're not the same.
No, you can't.
Have you seen? Are you kidding me?
Can I ask you a
What?
question? Can I ask you a question?
Patrick, you need to get out more. You're on the right wing algorithm too much. You watch Ilhan Omar videos.
Do you know at one point,
all day long.
you know at one point I was sitting down with Muslims trying to find out what things we have in common. Because to me, the LGBTQ, specifically on the T side, was getting a little too far. What is the Muslim position on LGBTQ?
Islam in general, obviously, I'm not an Islamic scholar, but Islam as traditionally practiced, like Christianity and Judaism as traditionally practiced, is very hostile to the idea of homosexuality.
Okay.
Theologically.
We have that in common.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me give you some polls, because you keep talking about
Follow
Americans,
all
this
the
and that.
polls.
So in 2017, Pew did a poll, and they found that Muslim Americans were more likely to say, 52%, I think it was, of Muslim Americans said that homosexuality should be accepted in society. You know how many white evangelical Protestants said that? 34%. 34%. Muslims were more accepting of homosexuality than white Christian evangelical.
And there we go again. Another talking point is to try to get people on the left or minority communities to be against Muslims. They'll bring up this, well, they hate the LGBTQ. How can you support them? First of all, everybody has a right to their beliefs. Second of all, once again, the hypocrisy, because we're acting like we here in the West, here in America, are so supportive of minorities, which is a frigging joke. It's a joke. If anything, we're backsliding, and we've been backsliding for a decade now, easily, taking away rights from minorities, from women, from people who need social support. We're stripping all of that, whatever gains that we made. But yet these people will come out and try to use that as a talking point. So Mehdi brings as they say, he brings the receipts about this poll where actually Christians have less acceptance for the LGBTQ community than Islam does. So fantastic job here, Mehdi did.
Evangelicals, right? So my question then is, when you talk about integration assimilation, America's a liberal country, it's a pro-gay country, whether you like it or not. They polled Muslims in the UK and the US. Guess what they found? Muslims in the UK and Muslims in the US support democracy more than non-Muslim Americans and non-Muslim Britons. Muslims in America and Britain support gender equality more than non-Muslim Britons and Americans. So for your viewers, I just want to make clear, you've been lied to. Not Muslim attitudes.
When it comes down to age for marriage in some of these countries, give you a rebuttal. I'm curious. So if a person comes from a country, where like in Sudan, the minimum age for marriage is 10 years old. Are you for that? I don't think you are. In Iran, the legal age for marriage is 13 years old.
Okay.
As young as a 9 with parental consent. Are you for that? I'm certain you're not. Okay. Yemen, no legal minimum age. 1/3 of women 20 to 24 will marry before 18 years old. Iraq Parliament in 2024 moved to allow age girls to marry as young as 9 years old under Jafari school law. Pakistan, 1.9 million child brides in Pakistan, 6th highest in the world. Okay. By the way, the good news with that, I want to give that credit as well. Islamabad, capital territory, just changed the minimum age to 18. Good for them. They're making progress. Nigeria, over 50% of girls married before the age of 15.
Patrick?
This is the question. Culturally, if you're coming from this environment to America, notice I didn't say every other country that's coming from Muslim. If you're coming from that culture to America, does that coincide?
Number one, all of the social sciences show that when people move to a country, within a generation, max 2, they do assimilate to local values, and I just gave you the numbers for it. Muslims in America and Britain who come from dictatorships support democracy more than non-Muslim Americans in Britain. The percentages are there. Data shows that within generations they do not, they do adapt or assimilate, integrate, whatever. These are all loaded phrases. You're giving me these child bride ages. How many of the states in America had child marriages until very recently? What's the age of consent? What's the lowest age of consent in American states until very recently? So when you're already at 13, 14, 15, until very recently, American states, that's now. You can see there are states that until very recently was 12, 13, 14. So America maybe doesn't get to give so many lessons on some of these things. And by the way, what is the biggest scandal in this country right now? It's the pedophile who was protected by the President of the United States. Donald Trump not just protected Jeffrey Epstein after lying and saying
there
he
are
would
so many
expose.
places I can go with that.
Please. He also gave Ghislaine Maxwell a soft ride in prison. He also was going to appoint Matt Gaetz, a man who was accused by the House Ethics Committee of sleeping with a 17-year-old. He was going to make him Attorney General. So please don't give lessons to other people right now.
Excellent job. He does such an excellent job there. And once again, another talking point about these child marriages. And we're here in America with the Epstein files, with the people in Congress supporting pedophiles, doing everything in their power to keep this stuff hidden and keep the people that perpetrated these crimes protected. So no room. We have no room to talk about, talk down to, talk about. They say clean up your own mess first. Well, we got plenty of messes to clean up. All right, I just wanted to go over that little short clip on that because I find it immensely satisfying when somebody with these ridiculous talking points about Islam trying to stir up hate and division and violence against a certain ethnic or racial group. And right now it's just Muslims and Islam and Palestinians and everything else. It's like you're not allowed to do it with any other group for the most part, but when it comes to them, it's like celebrated at the highest levels. And then they use these stupid, untrue talking points over and over again. So please keep letting people on your show, these right-wing Zionist supporting shows. Please keep letting pro-Palestinian voices on your show to debate you. I absolutely love it. And then people get to watch your propagandist talking points dismantled over and over again. All right, guys, I appreciate anybody that watched. I will put a link to that article about the professor that got suspended if you have any curiosity about reading that. I'll put that in the comments. But thank you so much, anybody that watched. If you found anything interesting or of value, please subscribe. It is free. Like, share, comment, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and find some peace in the rest of your day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.